Welcome to the fastest mead video ever. To start, 3 pounds of orange blossom honey. Honey. Now I gotta sanitize my finger, which everything here was sanitized. We use Star San for that. We have a video on that too. While the honey drains through the funnel, 2 grams Fermented O as nutrient in a little bit of water. Mix it up. A little warm water helps wash that honey down out of the funnel, so fill it about halfway up your fermenter. Add a stopper and shake the bejesus out. If you think it's mixed enough, shake for another 2 minutes. Now, nutrient. Fill the rest of the way with water. Do not fear the foam, but don't let it overflow. Take a hydrometer reading, which means getting a sample out, 1.102, right where it should be. Sample back in, because everything's clean. Now, yeast. I'm using Mangrove Jack's MO5, but many yeasts will work for this. I'm going to use about half a packet. The remaining packet can be folded up and put in the fridge. Give a little stir to get that yeast all into the liquid. Airlock with sanitizer fluid and a stopper. Most important thing is taking notes. So we have fastest mead, today's date, 3 pounds orange blossom honey, 2 grams Fermented O, and a half packet Mangrove Jack's MO5 yeast. I put that on the fermenter, put it in our fermentation station, and we'll see in a couple of weeks when this is ready for its first test. Okay, our mead's been sitting for about 2 weeks or so, and I'm noticing that the bubbling is slowing down a little bit, so I'm going to remove the airlock and take a reading. It's at 1.008. Now, does that mean it's done? Not necessarily, but it could be. What I like to do is give it another week, and we'll come back and show you what it says then. So it's been about another week. It was 1.008 specific gravity last time. I want to check again to see if it's still fermenting or if it's actually done. It's at 1.000 today, so let me take a note on that. Now, this is where some common sense comes into play. You can say we should wait another week to make sure it's really done because it dropped 8 points, or we can look at it from this perspective and say it's 1.000. It's pretty much done. That's neutral for water. There is some alcohol in here. It could possibly go a few more points. I'm not super concerned. Those last few points can happen in the secondary or conditioning phase, so I'm going to rack it from this vessel into another vessel. Racking just means siphoning from one container to another to get it off the lees, sediment, things like that. They're at the bottom. I'll be back after that's done. By the way, please do not just pour it from one vessel to the other. Use a siphon, use tubing, whatever you got to do, but do it that way. And now I want to put an airlock and lid back onto this. And this has now entered what is called secondary fermentation, or what I like to call the conditioning phase of fermentation. This could take a few days to a few weeks to even a few months, depending on how long you want to let it sit. What we're looking for is we want this to clear out a little bit, or let it sit as long as you can hold out, and we'll see you then. It's been about 2 more weeks. Now I just want to take one last reading, and I know it sounds like a lot of readings, but I like to verify. I just want to make sure that this is really done, and it is at 1.000. My rule of thumb is take a reading, wait a week, take another reading. If they have not moved, it's done. That next step is racking, and we're going to use the auto siphon again. I'm taking the cap off because I want to put this all the way to the bottom. Once I get it going, I'm going to put the other end into this pitcher, which I'm going to put lower than my source. All right, so now that our mead is racked, I know I have about 120 ounces here because of the raised letters on my fancy schmancy pitcher. You can get one of these too. We have a link in the description. I highly suggest getting one. They're very, very, very convenient. What I want to do before I bottle this is get a final tasting. And what I mean by that is I'm just going to pour a quick sample, hold it up to the light, do all the fancy smanchy things like people do. Is it a little bit hazy? Yeah, just a touch. And that's okay, that may clear in time. If not, it actually doesn't affect flavor. Don't worry. Sometimes they clear, sometimes they don't. Yes, there are other ways to handle that, but that's for another video. On the smell, I get a little bit of the honey character. On the taste, I'm actually getting a little bit of a fruity note, kind of a florally thing going on. That's from the orange blossom honey. It's actually quite nice. This is considered dry because it went to 1.000. But it doesn't taste fully dry to me. It actually has a little bit of residual sweetness there. That's a good thing. At this age, usually they taste almost sour, not vinegary, but kind of sour, a little bitter, a little harsh. Give this 6 months, it's going to be amazing. So now, let's bottle. All right, when it comes to bottling, what I like to do is get my bottles ready. And what I mean by that is clean them out, scrub them at the sink, soap and water, then put them into a solution of Star San. If you can't get Star San, there are a few alternatives out there. I do prefer the swing top bottle, just because they're reusable. There's no waste. They last years. They're normally a very heavy quality bottle if you get the right ones. The ones from Aldi are great. They even come with free lemonade. If you can't get those, you can also use a screw top wine bottle. Now this brew isn't carbonated, so very easy to just use a standard bottle. They don't hold carbonation, but they will seal quite well, and we've gotten years of use out of these bottles. You know, there's nothing wrong with repurposing a whiskey bottle or wine bottles that you've used for other things, or that other things came in. I like to think I bought the bottle and got the liquid in it for free. For bottling, to make your life easier, get one of these. It's called a bottling wand. It's just a tube with a little valve at the end. You put it on the end of your auto siphon, and it lets, when you push it in, lets the liquid flow. When it comes out, it stops. Saves you a lot of leaks and messes. Bottling is really just racking from this vessel into a bottle, so it's really, really simple. Put the end of the bottling wand into my bottle, make sure the bottle is lower than the vessel that I'm racking from, and then get it started. Here's the one-hand method. After bottling, we get 4 full 750 ml or wine bottle size bottles, and one over on the side here, that's half a bottle. The difference is you want to drink this one sooner rather than later. I probably want to keep this in the fridge. All that space could mean oxidation, could mean off flavors. You definitely want to consume this one within a month or two. Don't let it go too much further, even if it's kept in the fridge. These others, we've let them go for up to 3 years before with no issues. You just want to make sure that they're sealed well, make sure the seals are all in proper working order, there's no chips in the glass or anything like that. Do not store them on their side. These don't have corks. Don't do that. You can keep them in the fridge if you want to. They will not actually age as fast in the fridge as they do at room temperature. Now, room temperature can mean anything from 50 degrees to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. I realize that. Use your common sense. If it's like 200 degrees in your house, you probably don't want to store it at room temperature. And if it's freezing, you probably don't want to store it at that either. How long to age? Well, that's personal preference, but a couple months will drastically improve this particular mead. A couple of years might make it that much better. Beyond there, you're probably going to get diminishing results. It might not improve that much more after that. But we have tons and tons of mead making videos on our channel, so we have lots of others for you to choose from. But the burning question on everyone's mind is, how much alcohol did we make? I know you were wondering, and I just didn't get to it yet. 1.102, and we subtract 1.000, and we get 0.102, or 102 points of specific gravity burned up. I like to use 135 as my coefficient. Some people prefer 131.25. If you don't understand any of that, we do a video explaining all that. I'm going to multiply that by 135, and we get 13.77% alcohol. I'm going to call that 13.5 just because it's a nice round number. So we made 13.5% alcohol. Most wines sold in the US are between 9 and 15%. So we are smack dab in the middle of that, even on the higher end. That is the fastest mead video I think I've ever made. As always, guys, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.